Do you remember the last New Year's resolution that you feel that? Of course you do, because it was the New Year's resolution for the previous year and the year before that. Now, the commonest reason why people fail at implementing their resolutions is because of something called outcome mismatch bias. And by the way, you should be used to hearing me talk about cognitive biases by now. So the outcome mismatch bias is a cognitive bias that occurs when people expect results that are disproportionate with the actual input they've put in. So think about it like this. You say you want to start working out every day, or well, in whatever manner, at the start of the new year, and you fail to actually check what it takes to work out every day. You don't do your research and you just start working out, and by the time you see your motivation running low because you failed to do what was necessary to ensure the motivation is maintained and things like that, your drive, your eye on the prize and things like that, because you failed at those things, you end up not achieving your goal. Now, that's not even the entirety of it. Now, the problem is you were expecting to actually still achieve your goals even when you did not put in the work that was necessary to achieve your goals. Let me just give you a much easier to relate with example. Think about, let's say, your content creation journey. If you're a business owner or someone who just wants to have their voice out there, you probably at one point have decided to start some level of content creation. And when you decided, you maybe did some kind of research to know what to take, you got some equipment ready, and you started the journey. Now, you failed somehow to read about the exact type of methodology to use to get the kind of results you're looking for. Or maybe you even did. Let's just assume you did your research thoroughly. And let me use Instagram for an example. Let's say you read somewhere, for an example, that you have to post daily and your reels have to be at least between 30 seconds to 60 seconds long, and they have to have a hook, an interesting angle, and then a very clear call to action. And you have to do this thing daily, including Saturdays and Sundays. And you start and you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, first week. Next week you do Monday, you do Tuesday, Wednesday, miss Thursday, you do Friday, of course Saturday, Sunday as well. Then the third week you do Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. The fourth week you do maybe just Monday and Wednesday. Now, in your head, you actually wouldn't see it as I just described. In your head, it will be as though you've been working so hard. And because you feel like you've been working so hard, you would also feel like you should get the results that you were promised when you read about the process for getting those results. This is the outcome mismatch bias. Like, there's a mismatch between the effort you put in and then the results you got out. And the reason for the mismatch is because there's this mental block that just happens when you start doing stuff that makes you feel like you have achieved what you're supposed to achieve. It just blocks you from seeing clearly, and you feel like you've actually put in the work you ought to have put in and you've achieved what you're supposed to achieve. Meanwhile, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. But there is a way around it, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video. But the reason I'm talking about the outcome mismatch bias is because I wanted to talk about something that's even more interesting: how to actually hold a corrupt government accountable by using the right methods for approaching the outcome mismatch bias. Now, corrupt governments thrive on the fact that the citizens don't know the right things to do. So they hide information that you're supposed to have. The thing about corrupt governments is the only reason they are corrupt is because they can afford to be. If the citizens knew what to do, they would not be able to maintain the corruption. That's one part of it. The second thing is, you have to understand that the only reason someone will be corrupt and not just straight out authoritarian and go all dictatorship on you is because they know that to an extent they still have to bend the rules. They can't just do all of that because you will stop them from going from point A to point 100. So they know they can't do all that. So the best they can achieve is just do corruption. But then why do they thrive? And why is it commonplace in many countries across the world? Is because citizens don't know exactly what to do that will change the trajectory, but they talk about changing the trajectory. They are good at saying we'll do this differently. So let's just assume that you're in a corrupt country and that particular corrupt country has their elections in 2027 and they're talking about pushing it to 2026. Let's just assume you're in such a country and you have between now and then to do something about it, and you fail to do research, but you like to talk about things on X, that's Twitter. You like to talk about things on Instagram. You like to just open your mouth everywhere and talk about how things are not working. And then when there is the slightest issue, someone posts a video saying this what maybe the police did to me today, or this what I faced at this agency, and then you lend your voice to it and you're like, that's why this country is like this country can never go forward, in fact I'm leaving, and stuff like that. Now, but then somehow you expect things to change when all you've done is talk. You've not bothered to actually do any kind of research. You don't know jack about the laws of the nation. You don't know how proceedings are carried out. You don't know jack about politics. You don't know anything about anything. But somehow you feel entitled to a change. Who are you? Like, really, who are you? You don't know anything about what it takes, but you just feel entitled to a change. Change does not just happen like that. You have to do the research necessary. After the research, you take steps. The only reason you're correct rather than doing the right thing is because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not tracking them properly. You don't know how to hold them accountable. So they know they'll get away with anything they just try. So if they just start today and announce something and they start pushing, moving towards that thing, they know they'll achieve that goal. If they decide that in a particular area of the nation they're going to cause some kind of havoc and then do some unrest and just shake up the area a bit for some nefarious purposes, they know they'll achieve that because they know the average person doesn't know what to do. And the reason the average person doesn't know what to do is not because of lack of information online, it's because they're just too lazy to access the information. There are certain things that when you align them together, a corrupt regime can actually just fall like a pack of cards. Like, it's legit can fall. I'm not obviously not going to go into those things, but there are certain things that you can actually do. My purpose in this video is to push you to learn about how to take advantage of outcome mismatch bias, which now brings me to what you can actually do about the outcome mismatch bias. So you want an outcome, but you're not doing the right thing. How do you get around it? So there's this mental model that you can use to decouple that outcome mismatch bias, and it's 3 easy steps. The first thing you want to do is actually define something called your minimum effective process. So the minimum effective process is like the minimum steps or the minimum processes that you have to go through to achieve the results. Now, these things are usually standardized, and you can find the information on things like this in most resources that are available on the internet. So whether it's for working out, or whether it's the laws of your nation, or whether it's to become a great content creator, whatever it is, you can find the information somewhere in a standardized manner. So you want to define the minimum effective process. So what are the minimum amount of things that I need to do to achieve this thing? Once you've done that, next thing you want to do is now track and quantify your inputs. So you want to now know that when I take one step, what does it amount to? When I do A, is it going to amount to B? And to what extent? And you want to track yourself properly. When you're tracking yourself properly, you can already predict the outcome. It's like saying you're going to read a 100-page book and you want to read 1 page a day. It's obvious you'll be done with that book in 100 days. It's very clear. Do you understand? It's just that for more things in life, it's a much more comprehensive MEP, that's minimum effective process, but it's still the same ideology, still the same approach you take to it. You know that this is where you want to go and this is how you're starting. So you need to track it in this way. Once you're tracking it in this way, you know you will eventually get there. So that's the second step. You need to track your inputs. And then lastly, you need to decouple the outcome mismatch bias entirely. So after you've tracked your inputs, you don't want to stop feeling like you're doing stuff if you're not actually doing stuff. This is more mental than physical, because you want to actually check, okay, for everything that I'm doing, do I just feel like there's progress, or am I actually making progress? So you're assessing your path as you're going forward. You're looking at it every day. You're seeing, okay, based on the things I've done yesterday, am I still on track to attain my goal? If you can apply and appropriate this to various sectors of your life, you find that so many things will change. And if your life can change, then anything that your life is involved in can also and will also necessarily change. That's how life works, honestly. So when you start with yourself and you implement things like this, then you can push it to, the people around you, to your circle. If you're a leader, push it to the people that follow you, the people you lead. You will notice a lot of changes. Problem is, the average person just wants to vibe and be happy. That's the problem. It's not really that things are bad. It's that you don't really have the mental tenacity to do something about things that you claim are bad. So I'm hoping that with what I have shared with you, you'll be able to actually start by making a change in your own life, and then from then on you can make a change in society eventually. Thank you so much for your time. Until the next episode.